Hey guys, I know I haven't posted anything in the last week or so. My old 91-year-old mum is here from London, so I've been spending time with her. But uploaded the next episode for my monster car build, and you can see how I've reinforced the front frame there where the firewall is, and my shallow tunnel for my transmission. So I put a plate in there and drilled it out the same that the old 2003 Dodge Ram was. And I've got a brake system from a diesel Dodge Ram, a Hydro Boost system, which I'm putting in. So working out the measurements there. And pulling all the bits together. As you can see, I've welded up the firewall on top of my framework there, and I tell you, it's built like a battleship. That's really bionic. And once I grind down all the welds, put seam sealer on them and paint it, it's actually pretty nice. And I sealed up where the air intake went into the cabin area there. But I did keep that hole open, which allows the hot air from that raises to the bottom of the hood to vent out, so to keep my engine compartment cooler. You can see how I've elongated my wheel well there. Kind of filling in the blank, so to speak, welding in patches and getting the whole car put together. Slowly working on my bodywork. I'm going to be doing the trunk in a minute and showing you how I repaired a really rusted out gutter around the trunk. And it's pretty amazing. I mean, the work, there's so much of it, it just seems daunting. But I just take it on a little bit at a time, weld in a bit, clean it up, and at the end of the day, it comes together real nicely. You know, like I said in the video. Right. I'm starting to make the gutter on this car, and you know, I'm missing a lot of sections here, and I don't really care about these little things in here because as, you know, when I seam seal it and stuff, that won't have any effect. But obviously, I have to fix any holes in the gutter and cut it out. You know, and it seems like the whole backside of it is good, so which means that I'll probably you know, cut the bottom out or cut the edge off. And see, I've made my first bit in my shrinker. So yeah, I bent the edge of a piece of metal and I folded it over so that I don't have a sharp edge, you know, like when you put your hand on the edge of the trunk or something. And then I put it in my stretcher and I get the shape I need. For this one, you know, I needed the stretcher. So I'll put that underneath the lip and I'll cut this out at the end and I'll weld it in. Obviously, the more time you take and the more bits you cut and weld, the more factory-like you can make it. In my case, by the time it's all welded in and it's got the rubber seal in there, you're not going to notice, and it'll seal out the weather, it'll be painted, it'll look good, and it's for my monster car. So this is not going to be a show car, although it'll look really good. It's going to be a daily driver. And this is actually my first attempt at making a gutter, and this is the way I'm doing it. I don't know if it's the right way, but I know it won't leak, and I'll know it'll hold a rubber gasket, and for me, that'll be good enough. So, you know, basically, this will go underneath here. I'll cut out the bad stuff, and should be pretty close. This is my first attempt at making a gutter for a car's trunk, which I haven't done before. So I've cut off the rusted outside edge and cleaned up what's in there. So the bottom section here hasn't got any holes in it. And I made this up. This is going to be part of my new gutter. I folded over the end so that it wouldn't be sharp when someone leans on it. And that is going to be welded in there like that. Which I think will look pretty good. And once I seam seal it at the end, and it will be sufficient for my needs. And I'll just work my way around, just replacing the whole thing. So yeah, that's my first piece of gutter. This is just surface rust. Once I give that a quick sand, OSFO it, it's really solid. So I'm going to show you how I made up the guttering and how I stretched and shrunk the metal, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas. I'm sure a lot of people do it a lot better than this, but this is how I did it. 1/8 of an inch. Just on a piece of tape down there, because it's easier to get the precise line to stick it in my bender metal brake. So now that I've got this edge on it, I'll stick this big piece of metal behind it and just tap it over. But I'll stick it on here and just start tapping it down. Right, so I've bent over the edge so that you know, it'll have a smooth edge that's sticking up in the trunk, because obviously that can't be really sharp. But it obviously might be a little bit detrimental to bending it, but I tried it the other day and it was okay. So I've measured in the height I want it to be, and it's probably a fraction more because of the bend, but in this case it's 5/8. And then I'm going to run my tape. I've got this really heavy block of steel, but obviously you can just mark it out. But I just use it as my straight edge, and then I'm going to just run the tape down there so that when I put it into the metal brake, I can just do it on the edge of the tape, and I know I've got it sticking out just right, and then I'll bend it up. I just bent it in the metal brake using the tape as my guideline, and as you can see, it really is pretty accurate. You know, yeah, as I closed the press, I just made sure the tape was just visible, and it really does bend it really nicely. So I'll cut this off and to weld it under my gutter here. So I'm going to cut this out here, you know, grind it a little bit better, and then I have something to weld to, and by the time I've grinded that and rust treated it, you know, I'll have a gutter. When you're making, you know, bits like gutter and stuff, it's very important that you get straight lines, and it's quite important that you get it even. So if you can clamp a piece of metal to follow along to get your cut, in this case I'm using this air tool to gut it, and this will run down here, and hopefully I'll get a nice clean edge. Okay. I've been making my gutter using this stretching tool, And this is the piece I've made right now. And as you can see, I've folded over the edge so that it's got a smoother edge. And once I've cut out this section here, this will roll in here like this. And as I clamp this along here, it'll extend a decent gutter. Alright, so I've got cut off the bad area of my gutter. Yeah, as you can see, you know, it's rusty in places. So and I've cleaned up where I'm going to weld it to. Now you got to remember, when this is welded on, you're just basically spot welding it, and then it's going to be seam sealed, you know, or primed, seam sealed, and then there's a rubber gasket which is going in here. So you know, it really is limited to how amazing you need to make it. Although obviously, you know, you can grind all those welds down, and you know, once it's seam sealed and stuff, it'll actually look pretty neat. But anyway, I'm not going too crazy. Just want it to be waterproof and look good. And I don't really mind what it looks like underneath the seam sealer and the rubber gasket and this and everything. Right, this is how my trunk gutter's coming along. You know, I had no gutter and it was all rusted out here. So now we have a gutter to start working with. Yeah, I'll clean it up a little bit more, and but I now have something for the rubber gasket to sit in, and obviously it'll be very easy to rust proof and seal that. And what will be visible is the outside of it, which looks pretty decent. And obviously once it's sanded down and painted, it probably will be unnoticeable. So once I cut the holy bit off, it's actually quite surprising how good the remaining metal is. It's even quite thick. So that will look the same as this shortly. Now I realise that the work that I'm doing isn't perfect, and you know, although it will look a lot better when it's finished, because I'll have ground down the wells and seam sealed it and pulled it and primed it and everything else. But I am pretty happy with the work I'm doing, and putting a good rust preventative on it, and maybe a zinc oxide primer coat first, and then the epoxy primer and seam sealer and stuff. I'm sure it'll last pretty much indefinitely, especially as the car is stored in the garage. You know, I will drive it in the rain because this is going to be a daily driver, but you know, it'll be dried off, and it'll spend, you know, 90% of its life in the garage, and it's going to be a fun car for many years to come.